Harley Quinn, Season 5, Episode 4, Breaking Brainiac. This may surprisingly be the best episode of the season thus far. Let's talk about it. All right, guys, Brian here back with you, variants cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, Star Wars, and more. This time, Harley Quinn, Season 5, Episode 4 for Breaking Brainiac. And as always, be sure to hit the like button if you want to see us continue to suffer through this series, because if this is the best episode of the season, clearly the season hasn't been all that good. Just in a general review of it, the humor seems to have hit pretty much a snag or a dead end. There hasn't been anything that's been really super lively. And as far as just the pacing of the show goes, it is atrocious. They haven't done anything good with this series for the last two seasons. James Gunn needs to just go ahead and put this out to pasture. His name is not associated with the project in any way, shape, or form. Want to make sure that is absolutely clear. But this needs to definitely be sent out to greener pastures or have new writers take over, because this is listless, uninspiring, and rather just bland. But at the same time, this episode was at least attempting to be engaging while being actually somewhat intellectual, in a sense of you're learning about what is going on within the universe of Brainiac. Because this episode focuses entirely on him, kind of his origin story, and just how he came to be hovering over Metropolis or Earth in general, to be just a little bit more specific. Because originally he is, from Kolu. He was someone who would just go ahead and assess analytics, try and gain a higher intellectual power with someone that he called Mr. Star. Those two would just kind of go back and forth. That was his boss. He would just go about his business, and him and wife and his unit, which was his kid, is basically someone that they just kind of built up this rapport with, where they had this small, what seems almost like a Jetsons like family lifestyle together. It seemed very, very futuristic for a lot of reasons. And then we had Coco, the space monkey, who was around for adventure, shenanigans, and making sure everybody laughs. Even though that monkey is horrifying to look at, and I really don't want it on my screen any longer than I absolutely need it to. But hey, could just be me. At this any moment in time, we've seen that Brainiac has just been going through the motions with things in life. Him and his son are kind of have a tough situation where he doesn't necessarily prove him, because his son is more free willing than him, kind of somebody who tries to break the status quo, even though their version of status quo is to be as intelligent, intellectual, and snobbish as possible. Think nose up, pinkies up society. We're better than everyone else. That's where Brainiac's head resides. So, in other words, up his own butt. But for all intents and purposes, he seems to be trying to have a pretty good lifestyle. He's about to get a new promotion at his job on Kolu. He's really excited about it. His wife's happy, even though she's kind of cautious about everything. She's still like, hey, you need to pay attention to your son and kind of fix a little bit of the situation at hand, because he seems to be acting out and rebelling more than usual. Brainiac, of course, says, yeah, I will acquiesce and I will go ahead and talk to him. But first, he has to take a call from his boss, who's sending him out to Brainiac for a artifact, if you will, a piece of tech that is going to change their society from 99% effective into 100% effective, which of course Brainiac is like, I don't see what the big deal is about the 1% mattering in this. Is like, we're 99% good. We are basically as good as we're going to be. And as it turns out, that 1% was rather important, because as he goes off on his mission after he has um, relations with the missus, albeit through just the intellectual touching of heads, where they just transmit data back and forth, they kind of had a interesting fallout. Because like as he was about to go to bed, she's like, hey, be careful, I'm really worried about everything that's going on. He decides to power down to sleep mode, and they had made a joke about a certain item that ensures that his wife will be happy when the relations are made, happens to use the minute he goes to sleep. So I thought that was kind of funny. But again, they made the typical running joke: men can't please women, yada, yada, yada. Just kind of is what it is. Who knows? Who cares? It's just Brainiac being probably a book snob who doesn't know what he's doing in certain realms. And as he's traveling off to Brainiac, he picks up the artifact on his way back, even though it appears to be a rather quick mission. He comes back, and basically his whole planet of Kolu is annihilated. Everything he knows, everyone he loves, gone, basically wiped off clean, and he gets a fresh start, if you will, albeit, without everyone he knows, everyone he loves. And now his whole goal and mission is to go from planet to planet, learning, studying, and trying to fix every society he's ever been near. Krypton was the first one he started with, and well, we know how that origin story went. So we'll see how he's going to recircle back into fighting with Superman at some moment in time, but we'll get there when we get there. At this moment in time, he's just kind of traveling planet to planet to planet, collecting things, and he's putting them in like little bases, and he's just kind of displaying them. And he's eventually starting to lose the will and luster to do so, because he's like, nothing really seems to be a challenge. I seem to be perfecting everything I'm doing. This isn't worth it. It's too easy. I don't really enjoy this anymore. And then he comes upon Earth, our little home away from home, even though it's entirely our home. So ignore that entire sentence. But he comes to Earth and discovers that Earth is basically, well, dead in a handbasket, dead to rights, doesn't have any ability to live. Literally, the numbers that he assigned to Earth is that the humans on Earth have a 2% intelligence out of 100. He's saying we're basically brain dead and non-functional. There's an 8%, well, 0.08% survival rate pertaining to the Earth. 8% out of 100. We're also doomed in that regard. And then on top of that, just to, add everything on top of it, apparently the writers have a bone to pick with Philadelphia specifically, because if you looked when they pulled up that map way back at the show episode, that Philadelphia specifically had a negative 66% chance to survive. What did Philadelphia ever do to you? Like, I've never been there, but I've heard the food's amazing and it seems like an all right town or great town. But negative 67%? You got some kind of beef with Philadelphia that we're unaware of, Harley Quinn? Because that's kind of bizarre. So his new interest is perked, and then he sees the city of Metropolis and thinks, you know what? This is where I'm going to start. I'm going to try and see what we can do here. I'm going to try and fix it. He's a perfectionist who wants to continue to fix things. This person, where they're basically trying to fix somebody else and make them perfect or make them into somebody that they're not. He's someone that would try and fix things just for the sake of doing it, as long as it had a logical basis to start with. So Brainiac thinks Earth is the broken X that he can absolutely fix. Good luck, my guy. Good luck. As it turns out, him and Lena are basically in cahoots as to what's going on here. Lena basically handles everything that goes on involving the humans. He handles ensuring that the city is continuing to thrive and get even better and better. Harley and Ivy got abducted on the ship, but eventually they are both reverted back due to his powers, to where their brains just kind of forget everything that happens. Ivy especially, but Harley really seems to have latched on to the idea of Coco and Brainiac, as she rearranged her dinner palette to look exactly like the brain in which Brainiac was sitting for his spaceship. And also, it turns out Coco's not with us anymore. Coco's definitely dead. So Brainiac may be suffering from brain rot, but yeah. The only people I think are suffering from brain rot are the writers of the show at this time. Please get better. The series has continued to get to lower and lower bottoms each and every season since about season 3. But I'm Remember for Geek Variants. Be sure to hit that lovely subscribe button if you enjoyed the content. Hit that like button if you want me to continue powering through this series as best I can for you, the viewer. I'll see you in the next episode.